welcome back to my channel. First time real estate investor Daquan Jones is here with a brand new video. This video has a lot of value in it because I have a lot of information for the upcoming year 2019 that has a lot to do with what's changing with your FICO score. Now, I know it's been a while since I made my last video, no excuses, but you know, life get ahead of you sometimes. You know, just working on my personal life myself. So those things happen, you know, it's normal. But besides that, everything else been great. You know, I'm still looking for a home. It's a process, which it normally is. But today I just want to go into what's going to change in the future. And when I say the future, I actually mean in 1 month from now. And it's going to affect all Americans. And when I say it's going to affect all Americans, I'm saying all Americans because everybody uses credit in some source form. Everybody uses credit, and credit is one of the most important things in your life. And the reason why I say that is because between getting an apartment nowadays, you need credit. You know, even just getting a car, credit, it's very, very important in order for you to get a new loan. And this video, I want to talk about FICO score and what's changing in the upcoming year 2019. And this is very important because it may benefit some of you and it may affect some of you depending on how your bank account is set up. So let's get into it. I actually got this information from another YouTube channel. If you want, subscribe to their channel. This is Federal Resource Bank of St. Louis. This is another channel I've been following, I've been looking at, and this whole pie chart is something I actually copied from them because I thought it was very, very interesting how everything was broken down to one. So, you know, without further ado, let's get into it. So as you guys may know, FICO score is your points, it's your credit score. It's a score that, you know, it actually shows you whether or not if you're getting a loan from a bank. So it's very important because these guys need to see where your credit score is at. So normally your FICO score ranges from 300 to 850. It's a 3-digit number, and as you guys may know, the higher your number is, the more likely you are to get approval from a loan. It usually is 3 bureaus, which is TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And a lot of times you see different points for each of these credit bureaus. Now, the lower your score is, the more of a risk you are to not getting a loan, and that's very, very important. And the reason why, you know, I want to talk about this is because the changes that's going to happen may benefit you in a good way, and it may not. So when it comes to FICO score is a corporation in America that uses a mathematical algorithm that may benefit or determine whether or not you'll get a loan. So it has a lot to do with your type of credit, how long you had credit, if you ever been late having credit, your debt to income ratio. These are the 5 factors that determines your FICO score, and these also determines whether or not you're eligible to get a loan. So when it comes to history plays a big role in this pie chart. History is 35%. And the reason this is because the first thing they want to look at is how long you had credit and the history of how often you paid, you know, whoever you owed on time. They want to make sure that you paid everybody on time, no late payments, and how good of a standing you have when it comes down to your credit. The second thing is how much you owe, which is 30% in this pie chart. How much you owe is very, very, very important. The reason why I say that's because I made this mistake on my own, which lowered my points. Now, when it comes to how much you owe, you always want to keep your debt to income ratio less than 50%. I would say even less than that, depending on your credit limit and how much you have on your credit card. And this messed me up because when I first got a credit card, I was just swiping and using it, and not realizing that I was going below 40, I was actually going over 50%. And when that happens, you know, my score was dropping. So this is very important. This is also something they look at to determine if you're eligible to get a loan. So make sure you keep an eye on this. And honestly, this is probably more important than this because some people don't have a lot of good history when it comes to credit. But if you can maintain, you know, less than 40% used on your credit, then you know your points will slowly go up. So just keep this in mind. The third thing is how long have you had credit. Now, unlike history, how long you had credit is important because they want to know how long have you had, you know, good credit, and not just good credit, but just how long had, if you had credit for 2 years, 3 years, all these is, well, especially this, I mean, this is not important. As you can see, it's only 15% in this pie chart, but they want to know if you had credit for a long time. Any long credit history is good because it shows that you're not a newbie when it comes to credit. You had credit, if your history is great, then this actually works with this. It's actually more beneficial to a lender when it comes to look at you and determine if you're good to get a loan. So just keep this in mind. The fourth thing is any new credit. So when it comes to new credit, you don't want to apply for new credit. You don't want to get new inquiries. You don't want to have new things when it comes to credit, because what happens is, as you guys may know, even when you do a hard inquiry, it lowers your points. You don't want to get any new credit cards. Apply for credit. You don't want to keep applying for credit, getting brand new credit cards, because it's going to affect you dramatically. I mean, it's not so much as history or how much you owe, but it will affect you, because how would the bank know you're going to pay them if you're paying a lot of other things? You have a lot of credit cards. You have a Best Buy, you have a Macy's, you got a car note, you got a house loan. How would this bank know that you're going to pay them if you have all these loans? So just keep this in mind. Try not to open so many credit cards. I mean, there's ways around it, but when it comes to, a lender looking at something to enable you to get a loan, try to minimize this. Try not to get a new loan. Try to keep it after, the bank is looking at you, or if you're trying to get a loan. Just keep this in mind. When it comes to types of credit, you don't want to just have one type of credit, because obviously your score is not going to be at an 800. Somebody with an 800 credit score have a lot of things, a lot of factors when it comes to having a high score. And these factors are different types of credit. One of those types of credits is a car loan. A car loan is good, student loans is good, and home mortgage is good. These are 4 different types of credit that you can have that banks look at. And if you're in good standing with you paying your bills on time, then this is amazing. You actually have a better chance at being at an 800 credit score than somebody with just, paying credit card loans. This is cool, because you just got to keep in mind, if you're paying all these and you have history with paying all these, then yeah, your score should be a lot higher than somebody who's just paying for one thing. Now, back to what I was saying, the reason why I wouldn't bring all these factors up into your FICO score and how they look at it is because FICO score is rolling out a new system where they want to add one more thing to this whole pie chart. And that one thing is how much you have in your bank account. Now I'm going to put this down for now, and I just want to show you guys and break it down to you guys. As you guys may know, your bank account is something that a lot of people don't really take into effect, because it doesn't affect you when it comes to getting a loan. I mean, you might have money in your savings, you might get money in your checkings, you might live paycheck to paycheck. It doesn't affect you, but it will affect you in the upcoming month. And the reason why is because if you're trying to get any new type of credit, you guys gotta make sure that you have money into your bank account. Now, all this does is shows that if you're eligible for credit. And besides all these things, this one thing is going to benefit some people, because a lot of people may have credit and a lot of people may not have credit. And the ones that may not have credit may have a lot of money in their bank account, but they just can't get approved because they don't have history. History is 35%. And this is 30, how much you owe. So if you have money in your bank account, that's going to play a major role until you get a loan. And everything is by request. So back to this board. So when it comes to the new Ultra FICO score in 2019, just keep in mind, factors are going to be followed by 3 sources that a bank is going to look at. So unlike using this pie chart, this is something that lenders are also going to look at based on your request. If you feel like your credit history isn't good, if you feel like you don't have good credit. And this may affect some of you because a lot of people don't have a lot of money in a bank account. The good thing is, when it comes to this extra resource and to enable you to get a loan, you only have to have $400 in your checking account. I mean, obviously anything more is a good thing, but just showing that you have $400 in your bank account is a great thing, because lenders will look at that and they can approve you for a loan based on what you have in your bank account. So this is the 3 factors that's going to play a role into lenders looking at how much you have. One of those things is how much you have. So like I said, you don't want to have anything less than $400 in your account, because that will determine that you're not eligible to get a loan. And I doubt that it will take away the old system. All it's doing is just adding another resource. And like I said, this is just something to consider because it may benefit some of you. The second thing is, how long have your account been in good standing? That means that if you had any insufficient funds, how often you have insufficient funds, and the last time you had insufficient funds. So it's coming in the upcoming year of 2019. Guys, just make sure that everything that's in your bank account is in your bank account. You don't want to have insufficient funds. You don't want to be overdrawn on your accounts, because it's going to play a major role into you getting a loan. And like I said, it's by request, but just remember that this is also another resource banks can look at, and this may benefit you. The last thing is, how many times has your account been overdrawn? And like number 2 is, guys, just make sure that you have the $400. If you have more, great. You're not checking savings, only checkings account. And this is very important because it's gonna put you in good standing when it comes to these banks, when it comes to these lenders. And me personally, I mean, it's not a bad thing. The only bad thing is, guys, if you live in a paycheck to paycheck and you have bad credit, it's going to affect you. If you have good credit and you live in a paycheck to paycheck, then it may not affect you. But just keep in mind that this is something that they're rolling out. Banks will look at this by request only. And when it comes to when it comes to lenders having another resource, it's always great because it's helping people who doesn't have credit or decent credit. So that's not so bad. But like I said, this is just another way that lenders can make sure that you're not at risk when it comes to giving you a loan. They don't want to be at risk because they need to make sure that they're going to get paid. The lower your credit is, the more interest you have to pay. The higher your credit is, the less interest you have to pay, and the more money you may get. So guys, keep all this in mind. This is the new FICO score that's rolling out in the upcoming year of 2019. How important credit is when it comes to this whole real estate business, when it comes to you getting a home, when it comes to you getting a car, or even just buying an apartment. Credit is very, very important. And I want to make a whole video about credit because it plays a major role into you getting anything now in life. And as crazy as it sounds, it is pretty much cash. I mean, honestly, I could go to a dealership and buy a brand new car 0% if I'm having an 800 credit score, and that's insane. Like, this is America today. So guys, just keep in mind that credit is very, very important when it comes to anything in life, and you want to have good credit because when it comes to good credit, lenders look at that and you're more likely to get a loan. And obviously, if you want a house, you need a loan. If you want a car, you need a loan. If you want an apartment, you need a good credit. So all this plays a role. And that wraps it up for this video. I just want to give you guys some very important information that's coming up. So just keep in mind that if you guys looking to get a loan, just always know that there's also another source that lenders could also look at, and that's your bank account. So just keep that in mind. Last thing is, I want to give the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis YouTube channel a shout out. Follow those guys. I'll leave the link in my video below. Reason why is because that channel has a lot of information about credit, FICO scores, and just personal things that may benefit you financially. So follow them, subscribe to their channel, watch some of their videos. They have a lot of value-packed information on that channel. Last but not least, my next video I want to talk about is what's going on with me looking at houses, looking at homes, and where I'm at. So I'm gonna wrap this up. If you like my channel, please give me a like. If you want to hear more information, subscribe to my channel.